Welcome to a World of Wrestling, a Wizard World virtual experience. I am Mo Lightning. Sincerely, thank you for joining us, wrestling fans. We are in for a treat today. As you know, we are streaming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch right now, bringing you the con life from the comfort of your home with these free celebrity panels. In addition, you can get some paid exclusive experiences, including one-on-one private video chats, custom recorded messages, and of course, autographs. To do so, wizardworldvirtual.com. If you're watching this live right now, you're on the fence, you're not quite sure, we'll put you over the fence. You'll want to pay for this experience. You can do so at any time through the end of this replay or end of this live viewing. And then if you are watching the replay, definitely check out the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Again, that is wizardworldvirtual.com. Also, we have some past memorabilia as well, some of our favorite artists, some of our favorite celebrities. That's at wizardvault.com. Again, my name is Mo. I am part of WrestlingAudio.com. I host a podcast, a weekly podcast with WWE Hall of Famer Devon Dudley, something we call Table Talk. And there's no way I can't host this panel and not have Devon submit some questions. So he is going to, through me, going to ask some questions of our stars. But with that said, here's who we have with us: former WWF and NWA tag team champions, Chaz and Glenn, or if you will, Mosh and Thrasher. Please welcome the Headbangers, everybody. Look at that. Entrance theme and all. Look at that. That is amazing. I love that. So distracting.
Did you have it any other way?
No, not at all. Not at all. And we have a former two-time TNA World Tag Team Champion, former Big Brother star, Mr. Pectacular. Let's hear it for Jesse Goddard, everybody.
Oh, boom. It looks a lot bigger in real life. Don't worry, people. Don't worry.
Mine too. That's okay. It's all right. And then we have, last and certainly not least, we have a professional valet, occasional wrestler, interviewer, ring announcer, model, former TNA knockout. She is the amazing SoCal Val. Welcome, Val.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Mo. Good to see ya.
Thanks for your time today, guys. How's everybody doing?
Simply tremendous.
Ooh, good answer. Well, I'm in sunny California, so I mean, it's always perfect here, obviously. So
Clearly.
It's boring, but it's part of my life.
Rough life you lead, living in California there. And Val, you're in England right now?
I am. SoCal Val actually makes no sense because I haven't been in SoCal in years, but I'm actually about a half hour north of London. So I'm across the pond, darling.
Okay, across the pond, Val.
I just changed my name. I'm now SoCal Pectacular. I just changed it right now on this show.
You can have
That's it. From here on out, I'm now SoCal Pectacular. Since she no longer can have any name when it comes to Southern California, only I can. Thank you. That's why the beach is behind me. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
It seems fair. It really does. We just had hail a couple days ago. So yeah, it's a very different climate over here, let me tell you.
Ew. Well, that's all I gotta say.
Sounds very pleasant. Yeah, not even
No, not even a little bit.
No.
Now I have to ask, being on this Zoom conference call here, show of hands, who's actually wearing pants right now?
Wait.
That's how you get your numbers up, though. That's how you get those private chats up.
I read the contract and I heard nothing about pants being required, which is why I signed up. So
okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Who's wearing underwear?
Again,
we got a silent crowd here. We have a silent crowd, everybody.
What a bunch of heathens.
What a bunch of heathens right there. Let me actually start with you, Jesse. SoCal Pectacular. Have you been a victim like the rest of us normal folk? Have you been a victim with the quarantine 15? Have you?
Well, coincidentally enough, in a life that I live, I wouldn't ever feel as though I'm a victim. So no, my life actually just went on as if it was a normal. Today's what, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. regardless of what day it is, every day feels like a Saturday. And I kid, but I not kid, because in all sincerity, let's be honest, I live in Southern California and it's 70 degrees out as soon as I wake up in the morning at 10 a.m. And right before I go to bed, at 2 a.m., it's still 70 degrees. So it's just as perfect now as it was 4 months ago, 9 months ago when this all started. So no, I haven't skipped a beat, coincidentally enough. All my business endeavors are still on the up and up. Stock market is still going up. I'm happy. My neighbors are happy. So we're a happy community out here in Southern California. And again, that's coming from SoCal Spectacular.
Bravo. Well said.
And Mosh and Thrasher, where are you guys calling in from? Where are you guys at?
South Florida, where it's about 85 degrees outside.
About
right now?
85.
Yeah, it's a little rainy. We're going through we got that tropical storm that's kicking through the Gulf. But other than that, again, just like SoCal Spectacular said, go outside every day. It's 80, 85 degrees. How can you complain and be unhappy?
That's right.
There's no hail over here at all. None whatsoever.
Yeah, I figured. What the hail?
Not only that, but I think the virus actually dies at 88 degrees.
Well, the virus, yeah, that and antibiotics.
and hand wash. So
Antibiotics, wash.
I
I heard wine helps. That's just what I've heard.
And the
Is that
burning
what's in the bug?
They're all duds. Headbangers and one girl from TNA, I don't know her name.
We got people trying to call in.
We should mute our phone.
Hi,
Jesus.
iPhone.
We'll get them in here soon enough. I'm
whoopsie
sure.
daisy.
Although, Val, I will say you and I must have the worst of it. I'm calling in from Central Illinois, where it's in the 90s and boring. That's
Yeah, it's weird for me. I've lived in all hot states. I've lived in California, Texas, and Florida. And actually, I don't really like hot weather. I know, again, the SoCal name really should be bestowed upon Jesse Goddard, let's be honest. But yeah, it literally was hailing just a couple days ago here in England. It'll have like 2 days of warm weather, and then all of a sudden it's just back to dreary London weather, just like you see in the movies,
It says you need everything you need for tomorrow. It says contains the Zoom.
Well, as I had said in the intro, I host a podcast with Devon Dudley, and so of course I had to ask Devon if he had any questions or any embarrassing stories for anybody here. And I'm going to actually start with you, SoCal, because Val. We're going to start with you, ladies first. He wants.
I don't know. I can't even answer to the name of SoCal now, can I? Because Jesse's SoCal.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
Just wait until I post about it. People will forget about you. People will forget.
No,
you're gonna be Northern London Val.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
No low Val.
Low Val.
Perfect.
No Val.
Perfect.
We'll let you worry about that. We'll let you figure that out. But you are supposed to tell us what you drink in the hood.
What you know what? When you said Devon had questions, I literally thought this could go real weird.
I know.
This could go real weird. So long story short, very long story short, Devon used to be my road husband once in a while. We'd go on house show loops, untelevised events. We had to call them on camera, but I'll tell you, it's a house show is what we call them in the biz. And Devon would ride with me. We'd go to different shows. And one time we went to a very questionable neighborhood. Can I even tell this story? I mean, I hope so. And so we're going in these neighborhoods and people are like drinking out of the brown paper bag. And I was like, this is fun. What are they doing? And he's like, Val, get down. This is not a nice neighborhood, And I said, well, maybe we should offer them a drink. What do these people drink? And he said, what do they drink? Redheaded white women. And that's Devon for you. I love him so much. I love him. He was a great road buddy for sure.
Awesome. Any road stories from the Headbangers there? You guys make a stop on the road that was scary?
Any stories with Devon? None that get me in trouble.
Yeah.
I have no stories I can say about Devon that won't get me in trouble. At least
Plead the fifth.
That's
smart
fair.
Smart man.
And I do believe we got some of the tech issues worked out. Former ECW world champion, TNA and Impact Wrestling star, the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac, Sabu, welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
How are you doing today, man?
I'm okay.
We don't have pants.
Here also. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you. And we're just assuming you're not wearing pants.
Well, do I have to?
No.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah.
We're going to be upset if you do have pants.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Now,
How's everybody
Mosh
doing?
and Thrasher, what about just general stories without Devon of you guys maybe ending up in a sketchy area that you guys weren't comfortable in?
Well, let's see. We worked with Smoky Mountain for how long? And went through
Lived in Memphis.
Clearfield, Tennessee, where you had to go up into Kentucky to come back around. And the first building you saw said "Long live the KKK." I'm just going to leave that there.
Wow.
Very.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of places we've been on the road where we don't even know where we've been. We've been lost and had to pull over and cuddle on the side of the road just to try and get.
We lived in a part of Memphis when we were down with Jerry Lawler in the USWA, where we had bars in our windows. And after 8 o'clock, you could hear a pin drop outside. It was crazy. It was called Melrose Place.
Yes,
it was adorable.
Give me a cup of coffee.
Awesome. Well, Jesse, anything in your travels?
These guys' stories are way more intense than mine. I mean, everywhere that I've gone has been 5-star. So I went to Winnipeg, Canada, and when you first hear about Winnipeg, Canada, it's like, this is when in my WFX days back with Billy Gunn and Victon or Eugene and a handful of other guys. Actually, Sabu was there for a stint too, but it was great. Like, I loved it up there. Girls love me. I think like one in every Canadian knows who I am. SoCal Spectacular might take a second to catch on, but coincidentally enough, a handful of the other shows that I've been on, I think there's about 30 million roughly viewers in, the population of Canada is about 30, 32 maybe million. I don't know. Regardless, the state of California has more of a population than the entire country of Canada, which I mean, it's fine. It's whatever at this point. But my point is, the viewership for shows that I've been on makes it so about 1 in every 30 people knows who I am. So coincidentally enough, when you go anywhere, people love you. So my stories are great. I wasn't sure where the story was going to go with Devon and SoCal Val. That was kind of scary. My heart actually is still like pounding a little bit because I was really kind of fearful of where that could go. So I'm glad everything worked out. I don't have the same kind of stories as everybody else. But
Of course not.
I know. I apologize.
But
a privileged life I live.
Was any of it here in English that just came out of your mouth? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, Sabu, same question for you. Where's the wildest place? Maybe you have an overnight stay somewhere between shows that you just didn't feel comfortable at.
Well, yeah, there was one not too long ago when I was in Chicago. We ended up staying in the guy's gym, and it happened to be his gym and the arena and his hotel.
All right.
That was it was Illinois.
Multi-purpose, multi-function there. We actually have our first fan question, and we'll start with the headbangers on this one. Cohen Lee wants to know worst injury in the ring.
Oh, well, that's you. So go ahead.
We were working with Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, and I went to duck one of Mark Henry's clotheslines, and big giant forearm clipped me on the top of the head, knocked me out, dislocated my knee joint, and I tore my ACL and meniscus all at once, and kept working for another 3 months.
Wow.
That was the worst one. Or when I was over in Japan and I dislocated both elbows at the same time.
Wow.
That's pretty.
How do you do that?
I did a frog splash off the top rope, and over there, Sabu, that they teach the Japanese guys to roll in towards the corner so the impact isn't as bad. So I went up, and I think I'm going to like really get this guy, and I jumped straight up, came straight down because he was right there in the corner, dislocated both elbows at the same time.
Wow. That's just lucky.
With my ass. Can I say ass on here?
Yeah.
Can I say fuck?
You just did.
Oh, yeah. So my worst injury was I got chopped and I got a bruise on my nipple.
Oh, no.
It's still swollen.
Jesse, what would your worst injury be?
I was actually kicking Billy Gunn, and I was holding onto the top rope. And as I jumped in the air, I somehow gave myself a dislocated shoulder. So that was cute. So then rolled out, put it back in. But that's just because of obviously the theatrics and the flailing of it. So that was that's about the extent of it. Other than,
Sure.
Somehow that's
through
still.
a table once too, but that was just a little scratch. So that was not actually as bad as
Are you
the
sure
discomfort from a dislocated shoulder.
Trying to rip it out of socket because Billy's known to do that.
Actually, in that same match, he tried to take my head off with a clothesline, and I ducked it right before that. So the one that actually got me, it got me. Let's just put it that way.
So, low, Val, what about you? What about injuries for you?
My worst injury. I've hurt my pride a couple times on camera.
Right.
I did break a nail once, but I really don't like to talk about it. So
That's fair.
it's very personal to me.
And it was a toenail.
It was a toenail. You were there, I think.
And Sabu, I don't think you're a stranger to injuries. What affected you the most?
Talk about his.
The one that I'm still selling today is the time Chris Benoit threw me on my head. And what was funny about that was when he was describing he wanted me to take a belly bump, he goes, "Don't be a pussy and tuck." Well, halfway through it, I turned into a pussy and tucked and went on my head. And that one I'm still selling today. So that was ours.
Wow.
I still have nightmares of seeing that in my head.
So why?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was,
Everything I've ever seen.
Wow.
that was it.
I apologize if I butcher your username. Jaritas Flores 94 wants to know for everybody, and actually it was directed originally to Jesse, so we'll start with him. What are your plans for wrestling in the future?
Well, can't talk about it as of right now, but definitely signed with somebody. Super stoked about it. It'll be airing in America, and then obviously I'm pretty sure in the UK too. So just time. Obviously, kind of with the current climate, everything's kind of on hold. For myself, obviously being SoCal Spectacular, it's not as bad as other places, but I say give it maybe 2 more months and you'll see me back on the screen. We'll go from there. I'll hit the ground running. So I appreciate you asking, but thank you very much.
And the Headbangers, you guys are still going strong, right?
Yeah, whoever will pay us what we want, and we're available again.
I love the honesty. Yeah.
We're available for hire.
Okay, all right. That's what they're saying is hire them. Yes. Val, are you still involved? Still doing stuff?
I am a bit. I mean, being in England, obviously, I get a lot of tweets that are like, "Oh, well, would you go to this company and that company?" And I very much plan to stay in England for the foreseeable future. But there's still a lot of wrestling here. I do ring announcing once in a while, and I do more than anything. I do Comic Cons, and actually, Mo, I do a lot of what you do. I host a lot of the panels for Showmasters and for Monopoly events. I was just in Germany and Pakistan doing some shows.
Wow.
And it's really cool. But I like to stick to obviously the announcing side. And the most wrestling related thing I have going on is GAW TV, which is Grown Ass Women with Mickey James and Lisa Marie Barrett. So that's wrestling related because there's 3 of us from wrestling, and it's like not a wrestling show, but we're all from wrestling. So it's been fun to do that during lockdown. We're just on episode 4, so it's pretty new.
Nice. And did I see that we were joined by Super Genie here?
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm good.
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent.
Yes.
We're talking about futures in wrestling. So what's next for the 2 of you guys?
We're working on a deal to go to the UK for a month, maybe in October or September, if things are back to normal, or almost back to normal.
Val, you gonna announce that show? You should.
I have a feeling if it's anything in the UK, usually you can't help but run into me at these shows. I'm kind of the Girl Friday of all these, so I will see you there. We'll share a spot of tea.
Right on.
Nice.
Nice.
Now we're talking about how things change. Of course, we all know about the pandemic. We know about all this stuff. How has this affected everybody? So, Val, did you have like business that this started affecting?
Yeah, teeth knocked out.
I did, yeah. I mean, especially the Comic Cons. I travel pretty much every weekend to different Comic Cons and shows and things. So that's pretty weird to be at home as often as I am. We're all used to traveling and living in hotels half the time. But again, I kind of had everyone has two choices. You can either be more productive during this lockdown or you can be less productive. And I think with the shows that we created, like I said, Gaw TV, Grown Ass Women, it's something we can do on the road and at home. It's virtual, just like this is, which I think really is the way forward. It is the future. So I'm focusing on a lot of digital content, and it's been keeping me really busy, thankfully.
Excellent. Mosh, Thrasher, did you guys be affected heavily by everything?
Well, we got hit because WrestleMania being in Tampa, so WrestleCon, that killed us being 3 hours. I mean, we had stuff the week before then, a bunch of stuff after that, so that kind of killed us. But like Val said, this whole digital thing, at least for me, for work, for my real job during the day, the whole virtual thing has opened up a whole new portal to be able to have access to people and people to have access to us. So yeah, it sucked, but at the same time, productivity wise, I think it's going to be a lot better.
Absolutely. I would ask you, Jesse, but we've already determined you have the perfect life in California right now. So,
well, you didn't ask about my golden goose though back here, but I understand. It's all right. Next question.
And Sabu, Jeannie, do you guys were you guys affected by the shutdowns?
Well, yeah, because we make all of our money through the physical appearing, not through this virtual stuff. But we've been learning it, and it's been opening up new doors.
Yeah, we got completely wiped out. Honestly, you can't. Sabu's like traveling constantly. We're both traveling constantly, and then all that got wiped out the past 3 months.
When they stopped.
Like the entire 3 months has been like completely wiped out, except for people starting the virtual convention. So, thank God people have adjusted. We found a way to adjust.
Yeah, we missed this one by 5 minutes, almost.
Now, with things being shut down, though, with your industry of getting beat up for a living, is this a good thing to have this break for your body, or is it a bad thing because your body then starts to adjust?
It's a bad thing because if I can't eat, then the pain doesn't matter. I gotta eat, and the only way I eat is if I really.
I mean, we adjusted. Sabu Answer does some training online and that sort of thing. So we just found other ways of making money. Everything has to be online now.
Yeah, I've been helping critique matches online for green guys and involved that way.
Awesome. Everybody watching, everybody tuned in. Maybe you just started tuning in. Don't forget that if you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, in addition to this free panel, you still have time to purchase those additional paid exclusives, which could be a one-on-one private video. It could be autographs, custom messages. All of that is on sale till the top of the hour, wizardworldvirtual.com. GB Pack Jerry wants to know, and we'll start with the headbangers, most memorable match or moment or most memorable crowd reaction.
2 matches. WrestleMania 13, our first WrestleMania, Ground Zero, we won the tag team titles. Simple.
Nice and simple. Jesse?
But then you can throw in a bunch of country whipping matches with the Godwins. Anything with Billy and Road Dogg was memorable because he used to get the shit kicked out of him, and I used to sit there and laugh.
Me and Road Dogg were the bumpers, and Billy and Chaz stood on the outside, watched us. That's all they did.
Look, each team has a role. We all have a role in life.
That's fair. Jesse, what about you? Most memorable moment in the ring?
I have a couple as well. The first one actually might surprise people, but it was actually an OVW. It was one of the times where, and I'm sure everybody's experienced this, where you finally have, obviously, and you elicit the actual response that you want from the crowd. It's me and one of my tag team partners that was there, Rudy Switchblade, and he, coincidentally enough, when we were tagging and whatnot, we went up onto the top rope, and it's like even giving me the chills right now. But just the fact of being able to get the response that we wanted in a crowd of, again, the room inside of Danny Davis's OVW at the time there in Louisville, Kentucky. But I'll never forget it. And like just talking about it just gives me the chills. And then a handful of matches with my former tag team partner, Robbie E, when we went to Tokyo and won the tag titles, but also wrestling Drew McIntyre just because of the physicality in it. When somebody can bring the best out of you and you're able to give it to them, obviously the crowd sees it, but not only the crowd, but all of your colleagues, and being able to gain respect in the aspect of the people in the back, if that makes sense too. So those handful of matches, one's kind of like personal, kind of has like a spot in my heart, and other ones just out of respect and being able to see what can get drawn out of me and that I can actually come with too and perform inside the ring. So on performance level.
Excellent. Val, what about you?
I think for me, you know, being obviously not a very athletic person, I bruise like a peach, so I opted to stay out of things. You know, since I was about 11 years old, I just wanted to contribute to wrestling, and I wanted to meet all my favorite stars, and I wanted to travel the world. So I think of opportunities like, you know, going to Pakistan, going to Iraq, Germany, you know, everywhere around the world. I feel very grateful to have done things like that and seen different cultures through wrestling and be paid to do it, which is just, I mean, the ultimate dream job for me, and play dress up because that's what I love. But I think as like a fan moment, like in Impact Wrestling, you talked about crowd reaction. I think of things like certain debuts that were big, like Christian Cage was a big deal, but I'll never ever forget Kurt Angle being around was a big deal for me personally because I'm such a fan. But when Ric Flair debuted and they had that video showing, you know, him in the limo and coming up, people were like sort of gossiping about it, but they weren't sure. But I remember that being a moment where I think of any other pop for the crowd, I thought, holy moly, we're onto something really, really huge. So that was a huge moment, I think, that I'll never forget.
Absolutely. And Sabu and Jeannie, best moment and on the good side, most memorable moment that stands out to you.
Well, probably I did Backlash 2005 for WWE where I took the Master Lock Challenge. So I had to get beaten up by Chris Master. So that was probably the biggest crowd I've been in front of, besides wrestling in Nepal, Kathmandu, and there was like crowds of like 20, 30,000. So that was pretty exciting. But, you know, it's been really exciting working with Sabu because we've gone to Australia, Japan. You know, I got trips over to Japan, and, you know, it's exciting working with him because he's so popular. So it's been, and he's consistently working. So that's anything working with Sabu is like a highlight, honestly.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. But there's so many to this name one. But there was one time when me and Rob had a match, and he was supposed to shake my hand, and he didn't shake my hand. It was called a matter of respect match, and he kind of elevated them to a superstar. That was my most memorable moment.
Speaking of Rob and Rob Van Dam, has he ever been sober? Have you ever interacted with him sober? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, when he started out, he was a nerd. When he was in first grade, he was a nerd.
Okay, all right.
Van Dam.
I can't even imagine there. I got a question from Dan for Jesse. Are you going to be doing Big Brother All Stars this summer?
Well, I mean, fingers crossed, because when else could he have $500,000 paid? In a three month period. So until I get to some other big show, I'd say that 2.5 months to 3 months worth of work for $500,000 would definitely be nice. So fingers crossed. They're my first family, and obviously you got to respect where you come from. So I love CBS and everybody that comes along with Big Brother family. So fingers crossed.
Can you get the Headbangers hired, because they are looking for opportunities right now?
Well, $500,000 split 2 ways after taxes is like $83. So
Yeah,
I don't know. One person, maybe.
If it happened to be in Japan, let me know. It's the one place I've never been, so I'm just throwing it out there.
Ooh.
I'll go to Japan.
He's never been to Japan. You never been to Japan?
I've never been. He has. I haven't.
Wow.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, see, I agree. He went over to bring us back, but then he dislocated both elbows, and then
Vince
Oh, wow. That'll do it.
I'm getting the vibe here that Sabu's got no chill. He's like, "Oh, you never been to Japan? Sucks for you."
Seriously.
That ain't the way I meant it.
I know. We're just teasing.
Even
We're
SoCal Spectacular has been to Japan 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
In your eye, huh?
Come on
Jamie,
now. You're going to do that stand up.
Oh, believe me, he's standing up already.
No.
Good thing this is virtual. We don't get a brawl here. But so Season Hatcher wants to know, Val, your best con memory.
Ooh, I feel like they want me to make it wrestling related, but I have to say that me being such a fan of, TV shows and movies and things, as I said, Mo, I do a lot of the hosting, and so I guess it would be hosting for people that I grew up watching. It's like a lot of times people here in the UK are not as familiar. Hello, are not as familiar as like with 90s American stars. But at one of the last Comic Cons I did, I got to host this for David Harbour of Stranger Things, Elijah Wood, and it was a huge one for me was Brendan Fraser. And a lot of people again in the UK were like, oh, they know who he is, but I'm like, you don't understand. I followed this guy's career. I feel like I know this guy. He couldn't have been he couldn't have been nicer. Like sometimes, they say don't meet your heroes and you wonder how someone's going to be. He was phenomenally nice. So I think hosting the panels is different than just going to a con or even just me signing at a con and seeing someone in the green room. I'm usually too shy to even say anything, but hosting, you're forced to talk to them. So yeah, I would say one of those. You're like a kid in a candy store. It's like you're fangirling all day long.
Yeah.
And speaking of fangirling, so as I said, Devon Dudley had some questions for me, and this one is for Chaz. This one's from Mosh here.
Uh-oh.
I know this question.
Wait, is it about his baby?
No, well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to this one. I hope it's not. Who do you have a crush on in the wrestling business?
I want to know.
All right, so,
That bad, huh?
wow.
Got a crush on Taboo.
All right, Devin.
Yeah.
Devin, all right, so
This is awesome.
Push you a little bit.
well, so it's Mickey James. And the
Oh,
problem
we're
is,
gonna tell her.
I already have.
the funny part about the story is when this was back when I'm calling him Devin now. From now on, he's Devin. Dick.
My way.
So he found out about it, and what he did was he walked up to her, and it was one of those things where, look, I can't even do it now. When I had the opportunities to talk to her, I literally was like a 12-year-old. I was like, blah, blah, blah. So he went up and told her, and then she came over to talk to me, and I was just like, hi. I was such a, you called Rob a nerd. I was the biggest nerdy little kid. I had no idea what to do. It was like, yeah, that was Mickey James. Thanks, Steve.
That's such a good question.
Maybe one that's a little bit easier. We have somebody that asks, got Mick 32 wants to know who was your hero or wrestler you looked up to, and Chaz and Glenn, we'll start with you guys.
I'm going to say mine. It's funny because it's probably going to be both of ours is going to be the same. But
I just texted Devon, you dick, by the way. Just waiting for his response.
So when I first started, I was never a big wrestling fan or anything else like that. I occasionally watched it. But when I started training, my trainer, Pretty Boy Larry Sharp, told me that I reminded him a lot of a guy that used to wrestle before called the Spider. Do you know who it is? No?
I'm not a fan, no.
Oh, yeah, Randy Macho
Okay,
Man
all right.
Savage. When he first started off, he was called the Spider when he was also playing minor league baseball for the
Okay, yeah.
So he said that I reminded him of him, and from that day forward, I looked up to him, and
yeah, he's my all-time favorite. And when I first started, I'll try to keep this story short.
Are you saying I was long-winded?
No, I'm saying my story is going to be long. When I first started, Glenn knew that he was my all-time favorite. I was training 3 weeks when WWE was in town to do the Saturday morning Superstar Show challenge when the guys would just go and get the shit kicked out of them. So Glenn said to me, hey, they're in town. You're going to come and we're going to go. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. They're not going to use you, but they'll see you. You'll get paid. Don't worry about it. So we're standing in the hallway, and here comes Macho Man down the hall. You heard his voice. You couldn't see him because you had to turn the corner. So literally, it was one of those moments as he turned the corner, this one pushes me into Macho Man, and I almost knock him over. So I'm like, holy shit, are you kidding me? So later on, they roll the whiteboard out, and there's my name up on the thing, Chaz Ware versus Adam Bomb. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like 3 weeks. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew how to bump. That's all I knew. So I'm getting ready. I'm pacing. I'm getting ready to go out. And who comes turning the corner? Macho Man. And he starts talking to me about the first time here. Haven't seen you before, blah, blah, blah. So he stops and he goes, kid, don't worry. I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to watch. And I was like, Oh my God, I got even more pressure now. Here's, my favorite person ever growing up. So I went out, did my thing, and I came back, and he was standing right there, put his arm around me and went, "Kid, that was awesome. You're going to make a lot of money in this business one day." Slapped me in the head, walked off. Only interaction I ever had with the man. Never saw him again after that.
Some interaction though. That's amazing.
It was awesome.
That is great. Jesse, what about you? Who did you look up to, or who helped you out?
You're welcome, Jesse.
I mean, that was. I almost shed a tear. That was a good story. You can't. That's a good story. As a little kid, I mean, you watch cartoons and things of that nature. I just like the guys that were larger than life characters. Obviously, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, guys like that, because you could just be breezing through the channel, and those were the guys that made you stop flipping through the channel and watch them because they were larger than life. The people that obviously impact me, Bubba and Devon, because I did go to Team 3D Academy down in Kissimmee, Florida. So I will give them kudos because obviously they stuck me into who I am today. So, as well as obviously Rip Rogers and Snow and the guys out of OVW, Nick Dinsmore, Rob Conway, people of that nature. But when it comes to what drew me to it, you would love to be a larger than life character in and of itself and be able to play that role, but to actually see somebody and then to actually get the opportunity later on in life. Granted, everybody's path is different. I mean, I don't share the same story as one of the headbangers, but it's just the fact that when I was in Golden Venice, I did talk with Ric Flair, and he's like, if you're serious about this, granted, it was after I did the first season of Big Brother. He's like, if this is what you're serious about, all the schooling is FCW in Orlando, Florida. And that's where, in Tampa, Florida. And that's where I went because I took what he said to heart, and I obviously flew to Florida and started my career and went down that path. But everybody's path is different. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And he also had obviously an impact on the things that I tried to do. And then that's where I am today. So. Absolutely. Val, what about you?
Ooh, when that question comes up, the first person I have to admit that was my personal Jesus, still sort of is Stephanie McMahon. So she, to me, was sort of the embodiment of someone who was, especially because she wasn't too much of a wrestler. I liked that she was more of a character, really good talker, was a strong female character, real boss babe, as we say nowadays. So I loved her. I modeled everything after my indie wrestling character and stuff after Stephanie McMahon. As far as other people that I loved watching and growing up watching were the Hardys, like Jesse said, Bubba and Devon, ENC. I grew up watching those TLC matches, and I loved Kurt Angle. My favorite was the Triple H, Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon storyline. And then the fact that I later got to do a love triangle was pretty funny because that's what I loved about wrestling was the drama. But like Kurt Angle, for example, being in the same company as him and getting to talk to him, and he'd give really great advice. And he's one of those people that when he talks to you, he really talks to you like this, and is so intense and so genuine that I literally, he said a piece of advice one time and walked away, and I just started crying because he's just so, to me, was such a hero in so many ways. And he's such a good dude that you never think that you're going to meet your heroes and they're going to be really nice people, but I was pleasantly surprised.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Kurt was, let me just chime in about Kurt. So Kurt was so humble when he first came to WWF back then. That's when Glenn was out hurt, and they brought me to TV specifically to work with him and do dark matches with him. And one of the most humble guys I've ever met in my life. As much as he was, he's an Olympic gold medalist coming in, and he could have easily had that deep personality about him. He was so down to earth, and it was like, whatever you can tell me, whatever you can teach me. So to hear him is awesome.
And Sabu and Jeannie, what about you guys? Who did you look up to getting in?
I actually, I liked Hulk Hogan too, and Ultimate Warrior. But of course, my beginnings more were in bodybuilding, right? So when I was a kid watching wrestling, Hogan did the whole bodybuilding thing too, the whole Venice Beach and all that kind of fitness thing. And the Ultimate Warrior looked amazing too. So yeah, those are the main people I looked up to, and I met Hogan down the line when I was doing work for WWE, and he was a super sweet guy. He was really nice. He hadn't gone through a lot of the disasters that he'd gone through in the past years, but he was a super nice guy, cool guy, and the things he represented on television were all like really positive things.
He didn't mean it.
Yeah, like the vitamins and working out and God and stuff. And your parents, like, you know, he just seemed like a really positive person. So those are the main people I looked up to, like Warrior and Hogan.
Mine's better than that. Mine's the Sheik, and not just because he was my uncle, because he was the best. What he did when I was a kid growing up, I thought was real. Even when I got older and I knew better, I still thought it was half real. And my uncle told me to pattern myself after 3 famous wrestlers, but don't tell anybody. So 1 is the Sheik, 2 is Jimmy Snuka, 3 is Tiger Mask. Those are the 3 guys I imitate when I'm being Sabu. And nobody knows it because only I know it, because if everybody knew it, I'd look silly. But since you don't know it, I look like Sabu. So the Sheik would be the #1 guy.
I'll forget you just told us that. You'll still be Sabu.
Yeah.
I'm a little Tiger Mask in there.
That was the one thing. I'll tell you what, Sabu, you know, watching your uncle and stuff like that, the original, I mean, he scared the living shit out of me. He did. He brought reality into that ring. Anywhere he went, people were terrified of him.
I was too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd watch the other matches before his matches and not really care. Then when he came out, I got nervous and sweaty and scared, and and he was awesome.
Well, we are just about out of time. So at this point, we'll go one by one and talk about anything we want to push. So if there's any, charities, socials, anything that you guys want to talk about, we'll start with the Headbangers.
I want to go to Japan. It's simple. Somebody book me in Japan. I'm begging
Somebody
you.
help us get into Japan.
Japan fun.
I heard there's the opening. The girl just killed herself. So there's the opening.
I'm in. Look, I'm in.
Okay. All right. Jesse, is there anything you want to bring up?
I mean, I have a couple shows that might be coming up too. So one of which is going to be on YTA Network, which is also like a sister company network of Popstar. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes into the 3rd season. It's an 8-time nominated series. It's called Tainted Dream. So it's already on Amazon. There's also another Amazon show that I'm on called New Dog's Old Tricks, but we'll see how it goes. Other than that, my focus is just on raising my baby. So we gotta raise the kids and make sure they can get through this pandemic too. Being a proud dad is actually a new chapter in my life. So I'm super stoked to have my babies now. And for the last couple of years, that's took obviously all of my time, energy, and effort. So now I'm able to kind of like compartmentalize different aspects of things, get back into the gym, get my head right, and hopefully shift gears. I'm super excited to get back in the ring. Stoked to give everybody a show and continue showing that it wasn't just before kids that I could wrestle. I'm still athletic and just as athletic now, and obviously still super tan because I live in SoCal. So SoCal.
And like you're literally tanning right now. Like I can feel the rays on you.
As we're sitting here, the tanner that I put on right before is continuing to get darker. So it is very fitting. I'm actually tanner right now. If you rewind the tape, I'm tanner literally right now after an hour of talking to everybody than I was in the beginning.
I thought that was just my settings. I had no idea.
No, it is not the contrast on your video. It is definitely the tanner that I've already applied just before we started this an hour ago. So you're welcome, everybody. It's a thing of beauty. It really is.
Thanks for being an entertainment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Former SoCal Val, what about you?
Yes. Well, again, congrats to Jesse. It's so amazing that we're, so many of us that we grew up in companies with, they're now having babies and getting married and, moving on to different phases of their life, but we're all still with the business that we love, with wrestling. I have a lot of projects going on, especially being around London and being around Fashion Week and things. My other passion other than wrestling has always been fashion and that sort of genre. So I'm doing a lot in that. But with this particular crowd that must be watching, they're wrestling fans. And I know that they will love the weekly series, Grown Ass Women, that I'm doing with Mickie James. There's a few people in here that might like the Mickie James connotation. They're just not gonna name names. They're not gonna point fingers. Just this guy. But yeah, Mickie James and Lisa Marie Farron and I, every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, We have a show called Grown Ass Women. It's a variety show. The cool dynamic is that, we're all in different phases of our life. Some of us are still in wrestling. Some of us are retired. Some of us are kind of branching out. It's just a lot of fun. And honestly, right now, Mo, as you know, this is a great time. So it's just sort of like to have an escape, nice to have to watch and giggle at and not take too seriously. And that's why the show's so much fun. So every Wednesday, you guys can find us on GawTV.com. Hope to see you there. We're in the live chats every week. So we hope to see everybody there.
What's the link again now?
GawTV.com. We are looking for special guests. I mean, if you can hold your composure, I can see what I can do.
It would be a silent show.
And then finally, Sabu and Super Genie. Anything that you guys want to push? Any socials? Oh, look at that.
No, not really.
No.
I wrote a book, sort of. I said that somebody they actually did the writing, and there it is.
Excellent.
But,
so we're just doing more conventions. What's on the 13th?
We're doing some kind of convention on June 13th. I forgot the name of it. But
I mean, his Twitter is at the Real Sabu ECW. So we promote. We'll have everything posted on there for what he's doing, and it's just it's a lot of online stuff right now.
It's what we're doing.
Yeah, a lot of online stuff at the moment. But I handle a lot of his merchandise. He got his T-shirts, his new book. Everybody's been loving this book, so that's awesome. And we're just waiting to get back on the road. We're all kind of grounded for now.
And thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Again, IMO Lightning Table Talk is new every single Wednesday. That's with the troublemaking Devon Dudley. Thank you so much again, guys, for your time today. Let's hear it for the Headbangers. Let's hear it for SoCal Val. Let's hear it for SoCal Spectacular, Jessica, and of course, Sabu and Super Genie. Thank you so much for tuning in. WizardWorldVirtual.com and WizardVault.com. We'll see you soon.